Theresa Havel, and I'm a clinical psychologist.
I'm Reverend Albert Serino. I'm a holistic minister practitioner for the Good Vibe Tribe Holistic Ministry.
Hi, I'm Mark Callahan, and I'll be asking the questions. One of the things that I read before we came here today was about finding personal meaning. What do you guys mean by finding personal meaning? What is personal meaning? And what does that mean to, all different sorts of people, not just to you guys as individuals?
Good. Jordan?
Yeah, sure. You can go.
Okay, so personal meaning. I kind of think of that as synonymous to perception. Understanding that, there's, 7 billion people in the world, and 7 billion people could have different perceptions. We all could have our own unique individual perception of the world. From the old shamans would say that the external world and the internal world are one and the same. So whatever you are feeling internally, you are projecting externally. And your external circumstances are then a result of what you produce inside. So if that were to be the case, then you're saying that your personal meaning is literally your inner dialogue being played out in front of you. So if there's a lot of chaos and disorder and negativity going on within you, you're perceiving that on the external world that's happening quite, physically. You're actually taking it and you're sitting there, and no matter what comes into your life, you're responding negatively. Or on a metaphysical level, you're actually playing out the dialogue of that negativity that's on yourself, that you're putting on yourself. It then becomes attracted into your life.
Sort of writing a script and then acting out.
Yeah, and that written script is there whether we're conscious of it or not. And that's where it's important, I think, to...
I would agree, and you know what? I'll pick it up from there and
Go ahead.
talk
Absolutely.
about a little bit
Awesome.
about that inner dialogue and that script that you have is really things that are almost partly twofold. One can be at a unconscious, subconscious, soulful level. And number two, they can also be on a level of form. So I mean by like the daily life that we live, the indoctrination of things coming at you. We live in a world, like I talked about, things that you're sort of experiencing. And I think that those two are intertwined. It's the way that we interact with our environment also impacts our world and ourself. So one of the things that they talk about, whether it's Buddhism or even Christianity, Christ talked about thinking. What do you think in your mind? The spirituality or just in meaning, right? What's meaningful to you is how are you living your life? How are you getting joy? Okay, how are you getting things that are pleasurable to you? What are your experiences? Do you have enthusiasm? Most people on a whole want some level of meaning. Well, you asked what is meaning, and those are the things. The joyous moments are the ones that we really gravitate to. And emotional memory in terms of cognition is highly impactful. It's one of the areas of our brain that we really is activated most, and our memories are activated most, emotional memory, because it's meaningful. It has an association and emotional content, not only just conceptual content. So, meaning can come from a number of places. And when you talked about internal, external, and what you're thinking negative, if you are very negative and your kind of your internal world is spinning and churning on, you're brooding, and you're unhappy and you're resentful toward others, there isn't a whole lot that's going to be meaningful toward you, and you're going to be projecting that outward. And not only that, I would say from a cognitive perspective or psychological perspective, you're going to be then anticipating your world to be that way, and you will create it. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Absolutely.
So whether it's self-fulfilling prophecy, creating that world, manifesting, right? So we talk about that in terms of law of attraction, manifesting your world. All of those concepts are related. They're parallel.
Absolutely.
So on many levels, this all sort of relates again. So the bottom line to meaning is what's meaningful to you. But on a human level, most people find meaning with joy and love, and enthusiasm for life. And so when your internal world is not well, that's when you need to really look at it. Is this true? What am I doing? And it is almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. We have the power to change those things. We have the power to change our perception. We are not just submissive to our brain. It's an organ. I tell people that a lot. It's an organ. It's just like your heart. It's sort of doing its job, but if you let it run away, it's just going to take you places that you don't want to go sometimes. Like it's a horse that doesn't have reins. We have that mindfulness, right? We have that ability to meditate. We have the ability to control and calm our mind, because on the inside we are this energy, we are this consciousness that is 10 times more powerful than just our brain. But within our energy and our spirit, or our level of with our level of soulful energy and our enthusiasm and joy, with that consciousness, we can really manifest good things for ourselves. We can attract good things into our life, and that can bring more meaning. So, that's kind of part of that perception is reality.
Would you say it comes down to people being honest with themselves and acting out that honesty into the world?
Oh my gosh.
Authenticity is,
it.
I believe, if you want to define spirituality, I believe authenticity is the way to go about doing it. I think a lot of times, when you hear spirituality, especially with like this new age kind of thing coming around, you want to picture the yogi sitting on top of the mountain at 100% peace, and they're just, everything in their life, you'd imagine them being passive and loving and caring, and everything's fine and dandy. And the reality of that is it's not true. We all feel a range of emotion, whether it be happiness or anger or everything in between. That is part of who we are as humans. We could do our best on a daily basis consciously to try to make decisions that we feel are morally and ethically correct. But that's kind of just not really, it's not feasible for that ideal person. We have an idea psychologically, from a psychology point of view. There's the ideal, a Freudian concept is the ideal self, where we picture ourselves as the person we want to be, the best version of ourselves. But it's not always true to be that way. Authenticity is the key factor in that. No matter, we accept if sometimes we're just that guy that just has to be, get somebody mad or get somebody upset at them or whatever. And sometimes that happens, and we work on that to be the better person. But, own up to it. Own up to who you are as a person. Take, like you said, you want to be that person that comes in and does some constructive criticism on yourself. And you don't need to shoot down your own self-esteem or anything. Like you want to just be constructive and self-reflect.
Be realistic about
exactly, and just be as authentic as you can. And when you make mistakes and you do bad things that you perceive as bad, it's just part of who you are, and it's okay. And you'll continue to grow. But continuing to own up to your own being and your own authenticity is, I think, a very key factor in all of this.
I would agree, but I would also too. I would add from I would say that part of our understanding of ourselves is to really go inside and really take a hard look. When you lie to yourself and you live a non-authentic life, and when I say non-authentic life, the example I want to use is that people are in a job that they hate. People are doing something that they can't stand, and they get up every day and they do it. That's not being authentic to yourself. And many people will say, well, what am I supposed to do? I need to have, I need to make money or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are always barriers, and these mental fences that I talk about are the reason that we really aren't living our authentic selves. It's the barriers that we put ourselves in. It's the boxes that society has created for you. It is not something that you need to conform to. And this authenticity is about really going inside and knowing what it is, who you are. If you lie to yourself every day and tell yourself it's okay, then you're going to lie to everyone else around you, and you're just going to be living a lie. Your thoughts become habits become, your character, and character becomes destiny, and that's like a Buddhism kind of a thought process. But that's the truth of it, and being really, really downright honest to yourself, and then you can fully be honest with everyone else around you and be authentic. and be authentic isn't always easy. Like you said, it's not like, you wake up every day and you don't have the ego, or you don't have these other concepts, or you don't have this. Sometimes sadness will creep in and you have to really kind of understand where it's coming from and let it go. This is part of that acceptance, and being authentic is accepting that you have a whole person. You are, a human being. You actually, what I would want to say is you're a spiritual being. You're a divine being having a human experience. And I can kind of go into that, at another level, but we're all cosmic beings. We're all cosmic dust. We're all related. We're all connected. And we're having this human experience here. And so part of that is understanding that, we're going to have tough days, but what do you do with that? When you're sad, do you dwell in it? Do you sit down in the puddle of sadness and say, I'm here, and hold on to it? Or do you pull yourself forward and let it go, and letting the past go? And these are some of the parts and series that we talked about, the first couple of, for the Consciousness Awareness Project. How do people do this? How do you get to this point of living authentically? It is a process.
It's a practice.
Being gentle with yourself, yes, every day. It's a practice like everything else, and that's kind of that journey that I'm on, that Albert's on. We all have our individual journeys, and that's kind of what we're here to say. Get up. Get on your journey.
It's just consciously making the choice to do it, and to every day just be a part of it. Kind of what my ministry is about is that it's an awareness of self, and it's an individual every day getting up and doing your part, as small as it may be. You're creating a ripple, and that. Just conscious effort that you're putting forth every day, little by little. Like you don't have to be any type of way. Nobody, judgment. You shouldn't have to worry about judgments. Just keep worrying about. Well, no, I shouldn't even say worry. Worry is the word, but just continue on taking that positivity and taking consciously every day, taking small baby steps to working and to becoming more authentic. And that's really, I think, the best way to achieve it.
I was going to say, too, that you kind of touched on it there, that there are all different kinds of people. I mean, you don't have to be the shaman, you don't have to be the psychologist who's looking into whatever words we need to apply to one another to describe ourselves. But there's all kinds of people, so I think a lot of times people will look at the guy in the business suit walking into his office every day, and they look at him as like the archetype for the guy who's not being honest with himself. Yeah. But there are people who that's what they legitimately
that's
love.
Their authentic life. Yeah, and they're loving it every day.
I love
they're living
work.
Passionate.
If I could go out in the field and investigate, geotechnical phenomenon every day.
You're at your
If
passion.
I could do it 7 days a week, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do it for free in case my boss is watching. I do legitimately enjoy myself doing that. It makes me happy to do.
That's wonderful.
And I think sometimes maybe people don't enjoy their jobs because they're looking at it as a job and not looking at what they are actually doing for people.
They might not, you're right. They might not appreciate that, or they might not have found their passion, or
right,
they don't know how to find their passion, right?
The passion.
So they're like, what's inside? What do I really want? And I think that it's a blessing when you can actually find your passion. And be grateful for that.
I have to agree with that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had people come in to your sort of circle and who are being authentic with themselves, even though they're trying to live that same sort of life that you're living. But you could tell that, well, that's not really who they are. Yeah. They just think that they need to be that to find who they are.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing of it is,
there's no mistake there.
No,
they're on their path. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what I was gonna say.